Hi everyone, I'm getting ready to open Unit 2 and I wanted to kind of go over what you're going to be doing in Unit 2 so that you have a good idea of what the expectations are. So Unit 2 is Introduction to Peer Review. In Unit 1 and getting started, we did a lot of the preliminary work. And now you've written your profile essay and we're going to look at it and get some feedback. So the first thing you want to do is you want to look at the learning outcomes. These are the expectations of what you should be able to do by the time you complete this learning unit. So you should be able to describe the benefits of peer review, describe the challenges of peer review, list the elements of effective writing as described in the Roberts essay, How to Say Nothing in 500 Words, and then employ Roberts' advice to conduct at least 2 peer reviews of profile essays. If you scroll down to the checklist, you'll see that the first thing on your agenda is to watch the video Why Peer Review. This video is about, I think it's like 6.5 minutes long, and it really provides you with some good background information of what the value is in using a peer review and what you should be able to do or learn from it, both as a peer reviewer and as an author who's having his or her work reviewed. Next, after that, I asked you to review the Roberts essay. That was from Unit 1, the How to Say Nothing in 500 Words, and reread his essay and pay close attention to those pieces, I think it's 6 or 7 pieces of advice that he gives towards the end of the essay, the second half of the essay, where he says things like call a fool, avoid padding, those kinds of things. So pay attention to those pieces of advice that he offers you. Then next, you're going to scroll down to the list below where it says peer review. Well, before we get there, sorry, I skipped ahead. We're going to review the steps and see what it is you have to do. So the first thing you're going to do is reread the directions for the profile essay. Again, those are posted in Unit 1. Read the directions so that you have it fresh in your idea what this essay is supposed to accomplish. Then look at the chart right down here that says peer review essay assignment, and it lists everybody's name to the left and to the right which essay or the name of the author whose essay you should evaluate. So for example, if you go down to Lori Hobson's name, you'll see that she's going to read and evaluate Jeffrey Worthington's essay and Deborah Hennigar's essay. Okay, and so it goes like that throughout. We only have 5 essays to review because only 5 students submitted their essay. So we're going to work with those 5, and those 5 students will get their work peer reviewed. So you figured out whose essay you're going to peer review. Then you're going to go to the discussion board, and I suggest that you just save that essay to your desktop so you can have it, open it, look at it, and it'll just be easier to work with it. The first thing you want to do is just read the essay through one time. Just read it from beginning to end. Don't don't stop and take notes or anything. Just read it through and just kind of get the full experience of it. Then, once you've just read it through one time, go back to it and reread the essay and answer the questions in the, scroll down here, scroll back up, the profile peer review form. So that document looks like this. Oh, let's see if we can get it smaller so it can fit in the screen. There we go, we'll get it. All right. So you're going to look at this document, and this is the actual document. This is what you're going to answer, okay? So you're going to describe the tone of the essay. So you'll go in there and you will describe the tone of the essay. The tone of the essay was, and then describe it. And then you're going to, and when you're doing these, when you're answering these questions, whenever possible, use direct quotes. So for the tone of the essay was light, let's not use lighthearted, let's use somber. The author used many facts, we'll say historical facts, to tell the story of her grandmother's escape from Germany during the time of the Holocaust. Okay, so I've gotten some very specific details. I didn't just say the tone of the essay was somber, but I've been explaining why that's how I've interpreted it. And that's the kind of answer that I want you to get. The next question asks you what organizational format. So did the author use a chronological format where first this event happened, then this event? Or did the author use a thematic format where the author's looking at particular issues rather than a particular time frame? Then what is the essay's thesis? Now I'm not so much, and I put in parentheses main point, I'm not so much looking that you can identify a hardcore thesis, but what I want you to be able to is when you've read through the essay, I want you to say, oh, okay, this essay was about. So we want an essay that's not just about grandma, but about something important, okay? So maybe it's about grandma's experiences with Nazi Germany, but something specific. How grandma's experiences with Nazi Germany shaped our family's history, or something like that, but some kind of reason for telling this story, okay? And then who is the intended audience for the essay and how do you know? This can be related to tone, it can be related to a lot of different things. But who is the author writing for? In some cases, the author might be writing to record a historical event, or the author might be writing to inform family members about past family history. Or the author might be writing for, depending on who you picked. Let's say you wrote a profile on Kim Kardashian, okay? Obviously, the intended audience is not grandma, but somebody very different. So who the audience is for the essay, or the intended audience, is going to relate to who is being profiled, who's actually whose story is being told. And then the next one, number 5, says, is the format of the essay appropriate to the topic? What can the author do to improve the readability of the essay? With this question, what I want you to think about is I want you to be creative and also imaginative, and think about if you were scrolling through the internet, wherever it is that you read things, would you stop and read this? Would it get your attention? And if it doesn't get your attention, what suggestions do you have for the author to help it get a reader's attention? So that's what I'm talking about. And when I talk about what can the author do to improve the readability of the essay, think about visual, think about colors, formatting. That's the kind of thing that I'm thinking about. Also, though, are catchy titles, those quotes that jump out at you, things that are going to catch somebody's attention and make them stop and go, I want to look at this in more depth. So that's what you're looking at for number 5. Then for number 6, this is where Robert's essay comes back into play. These are 6 of the things that he has, pieces of advice that he's given you. Okay, so you're going to take 3 of these pieces, and I don't care which piece of advice which of the 6 you want to work with, but you're going to pick 3, and you're going to use them to give advice to your author. So for example, if the author is just recanting the history of the Holocaust, and we already pretty much know the history of the Holocaust, what can the author do to avoid telling the same old story? What can that author do to make it fresh and interesting? Okay, that's the advice that you want to give that author. Or how can the author slip out of using abstractions and turn his or her language into something concrete, and paint pictures and create images for the reader? Maybe the author beats around the bush, and rather than saying that Hitler was a war criminal who was heinous in every manner is saying he's a bad guy or he wasn't a good guy. Give them some advice based on what they have written and Robert's suggestions to help them improve their essay. So that's your job with that. And this really, 6 is the biggest part of this peer review and the part that should probably take you the longest. 7 says provide 3 examples of how the author uses colored words and suggest alternatives. So you're going to go back to the Roberts essay, review what colored words are, and then you're going to find 3 examples of colored words and explain or provide some suggestions for your author of how he or she can use colorful words or more colorful words to help get the point across. Going to do the same thing with colorless words. Then you're going to find examples of colorful words in the essay and explain why these were particularly effective. Okay? Finally, in 3 to 5 sentences, you're going to explain what the author did well in the essay and what the author needs to focus on when revising the essay. And these can be as general or specific as you want them to be. So for example, you might say you need to work on grammar because there were sentences that I didn't understand. Or you might say something like I'm trying to think of a good example. Think about how you have organized the events, and you might want to use a chronological order rather than a thematic because, and then give your justification for the advice that you've given. So these peer reviews, as you can see, are pretty extensive. It's not just answer a couple of questions and then you're done. I really want you to put time and effort. You have 3 assignments, 2 peer reviews, and then 1 other assignment that I'm going to go over in a minute in this unit. So I really want you to spend some time on it. I'm thinking that the peer reviews should take a couple of hours, 1 to 2 hours for each peer review. Finally, once you've completed that, you'll scroll down to the very end, and the very last assignment is how I will revise my profile essay. So as authors, you've received feedback from your peer reviewers. And now your job is to weed through all of that information that your reviewers have given you and figure out what is really good advice and what is useful advice and what can be ignored. And that really is your call as an author. As an author, you have to decide, based on the feedback that you've gotten, what you need to do to improve your essay. And you need to keep, when you're making that decision, you need to keep a few things in mind. You need to think about what, if everybody or all of your peer reviewers are saying that you need to proofread more carefully because you have too many grammar errors, then you probably really do need to take some time and work on proofreading your essay. If any item that more than one person notes, I suggest that you look at it. And the problem is when it comes to revision and looking and applying the feedback that we've gotten, we tend to get very sensitive about our feedback and even very protective of this beautiful thing that we have created, and we don't want to be critiqued. And what I want you to do is to come at this with the idea that these people who are giving you advice are helping you to improve the essay. They're not trying to have you rewrite it, or they're not saying it's a bad piece. They're helping you to step it up and take it to that next level and make it even better than it already is. So look at the advice that you get and the feedback as in a welcoming way, and look at it as the opportunity to really figure out where you can improve what you have already done. So don't take offense. Sometimes people are not as diplomatic as they can be. It's going to take doing this exercise a few times before you guys actually get really comfortable with it. So just don't be offensive when you're providing comments. Be constructive, and as an author, don't take offense. Don't have let your ego get wounded, but think of this as an opportunity. Now, I do realize there was one step that I didn't answer all of that. One of the things that you need to do is once you have completed that peer profile or peer review for the profile essay, you're going to save it. And then what I want you to do is I want you to go to the discussion board and you're going to click on reply, and I'll show you exactly how you'll do it. So go to the discussion board, you'll scroll down to the profile essay, you'll pick the one that you read, and then what you will do is you will click on reply, and then, whoops, my computer's going slow. Alright, cancel. Why is it doing this? Let's try it again. Oh, it's just loading, that's all. Sorry, guys. Alright, there we go. So here we go. You'll get this message. And what I want you to do here, scroll down to Browse My Computer, and then you'll attach it, open. And here you can provide any general comments that you want. I suggest that you say something nice like, thank you for the opportunity to read your essay. I really learned something important about the Holocaust, or your grandmother must be a very special person. Something like that. Just something nice, and to set the tone for how you want the author to respond to the feedback that you have given him or her. And then click Submit. Once you've done that, the author will see that you have commented, and then the author can read his or her work. So that's how I'm going to go back here to one more time. There we go, back here. So I've answered that. I've added all the information, and then I thank the author. Now, make sure that you complete 2 peer reviews. So as you can see, everybody's assigned 2 essays. So make sure that you do at least 2. Okay? Now authors, because there are only 5 of you who did your work, you're going to have more than 2 responses. And that's fine. This is wonderful for you because you get 3, 4, 5 people who've read your essay and are giving you feedback. So it's a great learning opportunity for you, and it's going to be very helpful. So I hope that doesn't confuse you even more. I hope that this little video helps you to understand a little bit of how you're going to go through the process. If you have questions, if you're not sure, then by all means, please, let me know. I'm happy to meet with you online, happy to talk to you during my office hours, happy to chat with you via email. So don't hesitate to ask questions, and I'll be happy to help clarify all of these steps. I know it's pretty specific, but I really want you to try doing this and to practice using the tools that I've introduced you to, so that you can kind of see how it's going to work. And once you get familiar with it, this process is going to be super easy and not nearly as complex as it seems the first time you do it. So have a great evening and keep those questions coming, and I look forward to reading your feedback.